She arrived 30 minutes late for our blind date, and the first thing she said changed everything I thought I knew about love. I remember sitting alone in that small diner in Chicago, watching the rain slide down the window, thinking I had been stood up. Every minute felt heavier than the last, like hope quietly slipping away. Then the door opened. She walked in slowly, slightly out of breath, her hair damp from the rain, her eyes searching the room until they met mine. I expected an apology or an excuse. Instead, she smiled softly and said, "You have kind eyes." In that moment, something inside me paused, as if the world had been holding its breath just for her to speak. I didn't know it yet, but that simple sentence would rewrite the entire evening, and maybe even my life. Before we begin, if this story touches your heart, consider subscribing to Kindness Legacy, liking the video, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. This channel is built on real-life inspired stories that remind us how small moments of kindness can change everything. Your support helps us spread more uplifting stories across the world, especially in times when people need hope the most. So stay with us until the end, because what happens next between two strangers in a rainy diner will remind you that kindness often arrives when you least expect it. It started as an ordinary evening that I almost skipped. I had signed up for a blind date through a friend, not expecting much, just hoping for a decent conversation after a long week of work in Seattle. I arrived early, chose a corner booth, and ordered coffee I didn't really want. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I started rehearsing polite excuses I would tell myself on the drive home. Maybe she wasn't coming. Maybe this was another awkward setup that went nowhere. I checked my phone again when the diner door finally opened. A woman stepped in, scanning the room with quiet uncertainty. She was clearly late, but there was no panic in her expression, only a calm kind of focus, like she had been dealing with something important. She spotted me, hesitated for a second, then walked over. I was about to say something sharp, something defensive, but she spoke first. "I'm sorry I'm late," she said, her voice gentle but steady. "There was an accident on the highway. I helped a stranger call for help." I didn't know what to say. My expectations of a typical awkward date suddenly didn't fit this moment. She sat down across from me, slightly out of breath, and then something unexpected happened. She smiled. That's when she looked at me and said, "You have kind eyes." I laughed awkwardly, not sure how to respond. No one had ever said that to me so directly before. It wasn't about appearance. It felt like she saw something deeper. We talked for hours after that, coffee getting cold between us, as the rain outside softened into a steady rhythm. She told me about the stranger she helped, about how she couldn't just walk past someone in trouble. I told her about my job, my quiet life, and how I often felt invisible in crowded rooms. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she didn't offer advice. She just said, "That sounds heavy." And somehow, that was exactly what I needed to hear. I realized I wasn't on a typical blind date anymore. I was sitting with someone who noticed details most people missed, someone who turned a delayed arrival into a story of compassion instead of inconvenience. As the evening went on, I found myself hoping she wouldn't leave early. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was just present. When it was time to go, she stood up, slipped on her coat, and looked at me one more time. There was a quiet pause between us, the kind that feels full instead of empty. I asked if she would like to do this again. She smiled, not immediately answering, and then nodded. That night didn't just feel like a date, it felt like a reminder that kindness often shows up in unexpected people and unexpected moments. I went home. That evening thinking about how a single sentence, spoken with sincerity, can shift the way you see yourself. "You have kind eyes" wasn't just a compliment. It was recognition. It was connection. And in a world that often moves too fast to notice others, it felt like being seen. I never expected a late arrival to become the most meaningful part of my week. But sometimes kindness doesn't arrive on time, it arrives exactly when it's needed.